But we're going to see two awesome demos of new gamification projects that also aim to change the way that people play and interact with each other. And the first one comes to us from a company called Social Chocolate, which many of you may know as Jane McGonigal's new company that's involved in making new epic games. And this is a project called Super Better, which I'm sure that Sean Baenen from Social Chocolate will tell us. Sean's here, he can come up and tell us a little bit about the game further. But you know, it has a really interesting history connected to some experiences that Jane had, and also in an effort to change the world is a fascinating opportunity for us to see it, I think, in its sort of public beta unveiling for the first time. So, Sean, thanks so much. Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, everybody, for taking time. I know you have a choice of things you could be doing right now, so thank you for taking time for this presentation. I will try to reward you the best I can for giving me your time by keeping us on time. This isn't meant to be a long presentation. It's really meant to be more of a sneak peek. I'll be here today. My colleague Chelsea Howe will be here today and tomorrow. So if you have questions, please stop by and ask us. I've got about 65 slides that I've timed to 15 minutes. Yeah, no, I won't do that. Actually, I don't really know what I have. I found this presentation in the men's room on a urinal, so I'm hoping for the best. We'll see. All of us at Social Chocolate are refugees of other worlds. Obviously, we're disciples of Jane, who is ultimately a game designer and creator, and we work with people like Chelsea, who is also a game design and creator, but there's those of us that are from the fields of human resources, from advertising, from direct response, all of whom have been called together under this heading of building games, building social games in particular, that have a purpose, that don't just give people sticks, that don't assume that the things that we're trying to build into games are things that people don't want to do, that we're trying to encourage them to do, or try to encourage them not to do things they do want to do. We're trying to build games that find that inner sense of purpose within people and bring them out. And the first game to that end is a game called Super Better. Now, this is one of these crowds where the last thing I need to do is explain to you, kind of the world's worst focus group on gaming, what games are doing to the world and how that's expanding. I guess the thing I would say is one thing that's fun to think about, particularly with this crowd, is, and some of us were talking about this last night, what are the foreseen or unforeseen consequences of this level of gameplay? I mean, if we're in a situation where, as Jane has said several times, the average 21-year-old today in the United States has spent as much time gaming as they have in all of high school and middle school combined, what sort of expectations are they bringing to the real world from having what kind of training have they been undergoing, right? And how can we as game designers meet those needs as they come about? Well, you know, different people get different things from different games. I've heard a variety of opinions today, but I think one thing a lot of us can agree on is that there are many, many, many positive aspects of gaming, which is one reason why they're so popular. And here's just a few, right? Maybe unlike somebody's getting in school, maybe unlike the feeling somebody gets from a job, maybe unlike the relationship they have with family and friends. People play games to get joy, to feel relieved, to get a sense of accomplishment, to feel loved, not loved in the Greek eros sense, but in more of the phileo sense, right? Excitement, curiosity, wonder. And people who are playing games are coming to real life and they're saying, hey, where is my epic win? Where is my sense of achievement? What is my epic win? What am I all about? It's really clear to me in this environment. It's not clear to me in this other environment. Where's that sense of acceptance, connectedness, camaraderie? Where's my post-static growth? Who's identifying strengths in me? And so one thing we say a lot at Social Chocolate is people get from games what they want from life, and life and work had better get with the program, right? So many of you know my friend and business partner, Jane. Jane is somebody who's actively thinking about this issue around building experiences to make positive change from the expectations that gamers are bringing to the real world. How many of you have read Jane's book, Reality is Broken? Okay, so a fair number of you. If you read that book, you'll know that the book is one of these interesting things. It's a little bit like the movie Casablanca. The thing I always liked about the movie Casablanca was it was filmed during the Second World War. So when Bogart is asking these questions about maybe the right side will win, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, he's asking those questions in real time. Jane had a similar experience in the sense that she went through a life-altering experience that altered her perception not only of the book, but also of what games can do. Jane suffered a very serious concussion from a household accident. It was diagnosed as a moderate traumatic brain injury. And during that period, while she's under a strict deadline for the book, she began to fade. And in fact, being a digital citizen, being somebody who is under this deadline, who is in the process, she's trying to write, trying to get things out of her head, she began writing notes to herself, and she's allowed us to share a couple with you. This is actually something she wrote. Everything is hard, the iron fist is pushing against my thoughts, my whole brain feels vacuum pressurized, and if I can't think, who am I? These thoughts in this process, again, particularly as her world got smaller as a result of this concussion, progressed to the point that she eventually asked herself, listen, this is not sustainable for me. I can't live this way. So either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to make a game out of this and try to recover from a game. And that game is what, in the next few minutes, I'll just quickly preview for, is called Super Better. So let me tell you a little bit about the game. All of my slides have in common that you can read them faster than I can read them to you, but I am going to read this slide. Super Better is an online social game designed to help you achieve your health goals and recover from illness or injury. It creates a private online space where one's friends, family, and physicians become allies in their adventure toward better health. Super Better's gameplay harnesses the science of positive emotions, social connections, and behavior change for better health. In short, we're trying to tap into your intrinsic desire to make yourself super better at something through carrots, not through sticks. Okay, so the Super Better platform has 7 guided missions that we've embedded in the game. Look, here's the way to think about this. Let's say Sean has heart disease. Okay, I've got a chronic situation. This can be used for non-chronic situations, which you'll see. So I can go see my doctor. And my doctor can say to me, okay, well, here's a pamphlet and you better follow these instructions. Or can threaten me, if you don't, then this is going to happen. Or I can go play a game where the designers of the game assume that I want a healthy heart. And what they're going to do is use game mechanics to help me find that place and find that rhythm where I can make that happen. So the 7 guided missions that you first see when you come to the game or your epic win, we all know what that is, right? It's not, I want to be free of heart disease. It's, I want to attend my daughter's high school graduation. What is it that motivates me to get better? Secret identity. There's been a lot of research on this, and I know some of you know it because, again, we were talking about this a little bit last night, that if you take on the personality of someone who is heroic, you then start to graft those attributes on yourself. You're bad guys. Identify the things you should stay away from, right? If I have a concussion, there's all sorts of things I need to avoid, even though I want to do them, things like caffeine, things like vigorous cardiovascular exercise. My power-ups. What are the things that recharge me that I can tap on when I need that extra set of fuel, when I need that extra set of inspiration to help me with my wellness objectives? Quests, which are our daily to-dos. Allies, which are your friends. People that are going to help you through this journey, and not friends in the sense I'm following you, not friends in the sense that we're on some social graph together. I mean, people I have identified and asked to lend a hand and lean into this and help me with my life. And then future brews, the outlying goals that I have. So this game is in closed beta right now, so I can't share with you a live demo, but I can share with you screenshots that are very, very current. So this is the first screen you see. It's something that it welcomes you to the adventure, and the first question we ask you is, are you up against an injury or illness, or are you trying to find your way through a health goal? That tree then sends you to a box that a drop-down box that allows you to pick what goal you're looking for, and I'll say more about why it does that in a minute. The next screen you see is a screen that explains the game to you in two different parts. The first that we just talked about is the seven stages that you can go through. We say you can do that in an hour or a week. We want you to be thoughtful about it. Some people have done it in as little as 10 minutes. Part two is use your answers, use your experience from that game to accomplish your epic win, and then set another epic win and accomplish it again. And depending on your mission, that'll be how long it takes, depending on what your win is. So here's our first stage, mission 1. For the first part of the game, you're identifying your epic win. We explained to you a little bit about what an epic win is, what it isn't, how you should phrase it, how you should think about it, how it's different from a sort of hard health goal. That then takes you to an environment such as the one you see here. This is actually Jane's gameplay environment. There's a lot to see here. Think of this as your headquarters, and I'll just call your eyes to a few different things. First, you can see over here the quests. Those are the to-do lists. The interesting thing about the quests is that they're populated by different things, okay? You can see, because we want you to have a sense of leaning into this and setting your own intrinsic goals, Jane's goal here as the concussion slayer is to get better from concussion. So her quests include a quest that she set for herself, right? You can see Jane's picture there. However, her allies have also set quests for her, right? Walk with me to the Embarcadero, which is a 10-block walking goal, key to get out of the house. From there, the game has set a quest for her. Please take a super better inventory. We'll talk more about that in a minute. You can see the power-up section, things that make her feel good. No, Meche is not some strange guy from Argentina. Meche is Jane's dog. Go look at the bay, listen to Just Dance. Gaga's her thing. Meditate for 5 minutes, call Kelly McGonigal, her sister. You can see she's identified her allies here in the bottom part of the game, people that she's invited to help her on this journey to wellness. She has a status feed, which is similar to the status feeds that you'd see, allowing to report to folks that are playing the game with her how she's doing. They can then respond. And then finally, bad guys. And there's degrees of difficulty associated with the bad guys because some things are harder to avoid than others. All of these things build, you can see up in the upper right corner, a resilience score. So the resilience score doesn't come from things you report, it comes from things that you do in real life, from your quests, from taking power-ups, from avoiding bad guys. Under the theory of positive psychology, that we believe strongly that if you build resilience through a gameplay environment and you see that resilience go up, that resilience will carry over to other parts of your life. Okay, so you can see on the top there's this lightning bolt, and we talked a little bit about the super better inventory. I'll walk you very quickly through that. This is your secret lab. Only you have access to this. You can invite other folks to it. In our private beta, we have had a handful of people that have invited their doctors into the secret lab. And the secret lab does a bunch of things. There's a 14-question inventory that you can, whenever you feel the need to take it or the game suggests that maybe you should take it, you can measure your responses against these things. Again, with the idea that the responses are measuring, it's not so much an absolute value, but how that value is changing. For instance, 4 of the questions center around this issue of optimism and how optimistic you are that you're going to complete your goal. I'm not so much concerned if your optimism is a 30 or a 60. What I'm concerned about is what the delta is over time. We allow you to evaluate these inventories over time, the answers to these questions over time, and eventually, hopefully, have a successful outcome. The one interesting thing about this game, and the thing that makes it so exciting, is we've talked to different folks, whether that be folks who are doing research into traumatic brain injury, people who are doing health and wellness goals, the folks at Zappos who are very into running in particular, is that the game environment itself, this game largely being populated by Jane, the game itself, through encouraging her to do power-ups and through her allies, can also be populated by downloading certain intellectual property, what we call the power packs. So I have a specific goal that's around training for a triathlon. I can certainly populate the game myself. However, I can also activate a power pack, which will download the bad guys, the things that I need to avoid, phased out as I'm training, the power-ups, the things that are going to give me a boost, the things that are going to keep me going on this quest, the quests themselves, the to-dos, the training items, science cards, the things that explain to me why it is I'm doing what I'm doing. And also the inventories, the tracking tools. So you could imagine if you had a weight loss goal or you are suffering from diabetes and trying to manage that, the goals that you would have would be very, very specific to that. So you may need to enter a blood sugar, you may need to put in your weight, et cetera. So we could go beyond the inventory to ask more specific questions. This just gives you a sense of what the Power Packs look like. This is the Zappos Power Pack for the Zappos ambassadors, and we've got a whole bunch listed as we continue to develop the intellectual property. We haven't yet developed Power Packs for all of these areas, but we are in conversation at some level for doing these, and some of these will already be built out. And then I guess just in closing, I'd say, you know, here we're about creating meaningful scores, about motivating you with things that will make you resilient, about giving you things that actually can apply to your real life. We want to use carrots. We want to assume, we want to build games around goals that we assume that you have for yourself, not they're trying to talk you out of doing something that you'd like to do. And we want to connect you with quality connections. You could have 1 million Facebook friends and be the loneliest person in the world. As I said, the game is in closed beta right now. However, if you go to superbetter.com and enter the access code Gamification, you can get access to it starting next week. So, thank you.